Picture this. You're asleep in your wooden house in the middle of London. Suddenly, you wake up to the sound of crackling. You smell smoke. You rush to the window outside. Flames are leaping from building to building. Within hours, half the city is on fire. This isn't a scene from a movie. This was London in 1666. Back in the 1600s, London was a crowded, bustling city. The streets were narrow, the houses were made mostly of wood, and people used open flames every day for cooking, heating, and light. Basically, it was a fire hazard waiting to happen. And then, in early September of 1666, the unthinkable happened. The spark. It all started in the early hours of Sunday, September 2nd, 1666. A baker named Thomas Fariner went to bed after a long day of work. He thought the oven in his bakery on Pudding Lane was out. But it wasn't. Some leftover embers sparked, and soon the bakery was on fire. Fariner and his family managed to escape by climbing out of an upstairs window. But the fire spread quickly. Carried by the wind, and it was only the beginning. The spread. Now remember, London at this time was basically a giant wooden matchbox. The houses were packed tightly together, and many of them had thatched roofs that caught fire easily. Once the flames leapt from one house to the next, it was unstoppable. People tried to fight it with buckets of water, but it was useless by the morning. The fire was already spreading through the city like crazy. The panic. Imagine the chaos, people running through the streets, grabbing whatever they could carry. Some dragged furniture, others carried their children on their backs. Even pets and farm animals were loose in the streets. Some Londoners even thought the fire was the start of an attack from enemies. Remember, this was a time when England had plenty of rivalries. So people were suspicious and scared. The failure to act. The Lord Mayor of London at the time, Sir Thomas Bloodworth, was called to the scene. When told the fire was spreading out of control, he famously said, "Pish. A woman could piss it out." Yeah, not the best leadership moment. His delay meant that precious time was wasted, and the fire grew worse. The fire rages. For 4 days straight, from September 2nd to September 6th, London burned. Church bells melted. Warehouses filled with oil. And alcohol exploded like firebombs. The heat was so intense it could melt iron. People fled to the River Thames, hoping to escape by boat. Others camped out in fields, watching their entire city go up in flames. By the time the fire was finally under control, over 13,000 houses, 87 churches, and most of the city's official buildings were destroyed. The aftermath, surprisingly. The official death toll was very low, just a handful of people recorded. But many historians believe the real number was higher, because poor and middle-class deaths often went unrecorded. Over 70,000 people were left homeless. Imagine that, basically the majority of London's population at the time. What came next? The fire was devastating, but it also gave London a chance to rebuild. The famous architect Sir Christopher Wren designed many of the new buildings, including the beautiful St. Paul's Cathedral that still stands today. And, importantly, the city banned wood-owned houses and started using brick and stone. So, in a strange way, the fire forced London to modernize. Fun fact, if you visit London today, you can actually see a tall monument near Pudding Lane where the fire began. Simply call the monument. It's 200 feet tall, the exact distance from where the bakery once stood. Closing wrap-up. So, what started with a single spark in a baker's oven became one of the most destructive events in London's history. The Great Fire of 1666 destroyed most of the city, changed the way London was built. and became a lesson in how a small mistake can have massive consequences. Next time you walk past your toaster or stove, just remember Thomas Ferner's little oven fire once burned down an entire city. Call to action for channel growth. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe to History Grandpa. There's a whole world of amazing tales waiting to be told, one story at a time.